Well, it's 7:49, time for another Ask Dirk segment.
Today's question that you sent in involves the jet stream. So, Dirk, what's the question?
Well, the question comes from Shelby from Newcastle, and her question is, it's a simple one. It's just, why is a jet stream called the jet stream? So the simple answer is, it's a stream of air that's moving faster than the surrounding air. But of course, we're not going to leave it at that. We have a lot more to talk about as far as the jet stream is concerned, because it's an important feature with our weather that we have. Now, here's a definition: a fast-flowing current of air located anywhere from 5 to 7 miles above the surface of the Earth. That's the jet stream that we have, again, over us. It can be upwards of, a mile to 3 miles thick, the jet stream itself, and it can run anywhere from 1,000 to 3,000 miles. And you can see that aircraft love to find the jet stream, because that just adds to their ability to go get there faster and, of course, use less fuel. And that's what you want. Of course, this day and age, if you're going to be flying around, it helps to save on money and energy. So the jet stream, there's actually 2 jet streams that we're concerned with here in the Northern Hemisphere. You have the subtropical jet stream. That's generally to the south of the United States, but occasionally it does affect or impact the southern half of the United States, including California. We sometimes feel the effects of the subtropical jet stream. But mainly it's the polar jet stream that we're concerned with and that we like to watch as far as the weather patterns that we have shaping up. This is really important because the colder air generally stays to the north of the jet stream, the warmer air to the south of the jet stream. When you have what's called a little trough or a valley, that's where we have areas of low pressure. And usually where you have that upper ridge that blows up there, you can see that's where we have the higher pressure and the warmer air that's usually associated with these two, again, areas of air to the north and to the south of the jet stream. Now, what's so important about this jet stream is it pulls along those weather systems, and this is what gives us our rain. And so we have these areas of low pressure that swing on through as those waves come through. That's what makes a cold front. And, of course, that's where we have the rain and the snow, and that's what we get during the winter months, and that's what we need a lot of. Of course, this time of year, we've been looking at conditions that have been dry for a little bit and then wet for a little bit. So this is what's going on. When we have our wet periods like we did in the month of February, we had a situation where we had a cutoff low. When the area of low pressure is cut off from the general flow of the jet stream, and so it just sits here off the coast of California, and if it's close enough, it swings that area of rain through, and that's what we had again in February. We had these waves of rain coming through. But what will happen also, and this happened in the, through December and into January, the end of December and into January, you have an area of low pressure that's cut off from the jet stream, and then the high pressure builds in. In fact, we had in January 17th, we got up to 70 degrees because of a pattern similar to this. And so the jet stream is very, very important to our weather. It can also be bringing about some extremes, especially if you have that cutoff situation. So the jet stream, you can't see it. So I was thinking, what can I do for a demonstration? Well, I talked to our crack team here of engineers at KCRA, and this is what we came up with. I was just going to bring in my wife's hair dryer.
That would make sense.
That would make sense, but I talked to Dan Tracy and our team of engineers, and they brought this to me, and
we
it works
took it
pretty
up
well.
A notch.
We took it up a notch.
Right,
Here we go. We're going to turn it on. And what it is, we have a leaf blower, we have a tube, and we have the air coming out. Now, you can't see the air coming out, but you can feel the effects if I touch it, but also you can see our ping pong ball is being suspended in the air because of our jet stream of air being produced by our leaf blower. Now, it's interesting. I'm going to go ahead and just tilt this around. I don't know if you can see that. We can make it do circles. How fun is that? So there's our jet stream. So thank you very much for that question, Shelby. And there's our jet stream.
How do I send a question in?
KCRA.com/weather, and you can get to the Ask Dirk segment there, and you'll be able to send your question in.
Do you answer all questions?
I do. I email back all questions. All questions don't always make it on air.
That's good to know, though, Dirk. We appreciate it.
We will be right back with more news after this.
To believe what a satellite is something that is so far advanced and technically incredible that is floating around up there on its own. We see these on videos, we see this on television. Oh, look at this satellite. It's always a CGI photo or video or some sort of artist rendition of what the satellite looks like. It's a drawing. Every single video we've all ever seen, they're all CGI videos and images of satellites. They never show you something in real time. Why can't they show you in real time? Because it's not where they say it is. But what is up there is a real satellite, but it's not at the altitude they claim it is. It is giving off a frequency and signature. It is floating in the sky, but not unaided. You only see it at night, and when you see it, it's the moonlight or the sunlight reflecting off of this. Now I know why these satellites have to have these gold and aluminum reflective surfaces. because they are maintaining the lie, fraud, illusion. Oh, look at the satellite up in the sky. You see the sun reflect off of it? There it is. But you don't see the tether. You don't see this dark colored black balloon floating in the nighttime sky. So here's what the guy says. About how many balloons would you be looking for at one time? Mitchell says the number would depend on the balloons identified in the daily mission, frag order, fragmentary operations order. Their codes would be listed. So each one of these balloons has a frequency and a code. This guy's saying, I think it was 10,000 feet the beacons would continue to function. We thought that they went down and were in the snow in the Brooks Range or some of the other mountains up in Alaska. He says, did your unit tell you the purpose or the mission of the Genetrix while you were doing this? He says, yeah, we knew. The balloons were launched from Norway. Look at this, people. The balloons were launched from Norway, Denmark, West Germany, and I think some from Turkey. In the winter, February of 1956, there was an article in Time magazine about the Russians complaining about our overflight of the Soviet Union with these balloons. Holy shit, people. I mean, really. The Russians were complaining about the U.S. flying over the Soviet Union with balloons. The Russians were complaining about overflights of the Soviet Union with balloons. They had any number of gondolas stacked in the Sperodonivka Palace driveway of Foreign Ministry. Molotov. It was just unbelievable. He had many of them. What they're describing here is this. The Soviets ended up capturing a shitload of these fucking balloons the U.S. was sending up in the air. And they would literally send their aircraft up to capture them and bring them down. Now, you got to think about this, people. This is absolutely mind-blowing. You're trying to tell me that we've been spending trillions of dollars for over 60 years for a satellite program they claim is going up on a rocket, and it's just a balloon you can buy from a hobby shop? Oh my God. This is incredible. An interesting fact, the airplane I flew during the Corona program had many recoveries of balloons than any airplane in the 456 wing. It was flown by Captain Slaughter Mims. And I think Slaughter recovered 3 balloons near Japan. He got more than anyone else. Slaughter had a lot of success. And he's describing the same aircraft that this guy flew. Okay? Here you go. This guy, Macaulay, says, how successful was the Genetrix program? Mitchell says, none of the pilots associated with the project was ever permitted to see any of the Genetrix film that was recovered. The film was stored in the vaults at Air University at Maxwell Air Force Base, the last I heard. I was at Air University Film Library in 1957, and I asked if I could see the film, but they wouldn't let me because I didn't have need to know about it. Outwardly, I understood that it was a fair success. We knew more about the Russians than we would have without Genetrix. It wasn't good enough to continue with in conjunction with the U-2. It was like the U-2 wasn't as good as Discoverer. I have a document and a study on Genetrix done by a gentleman up in Minnesota. It gives the number that was recovered. A lot of the gondolas went into the water and were never recovered. They had a saltwater plug in them that dissolved when the plug came in contact with the water and eventually sank the gondola. That's what they say. That's what they say. Now, get this. Macaulay says, did the public ever see the Genetrix gondolas and think they were UFOs? Mitchell says, I never heard of any reports of that nature. If there were any, there could have been. I don't know. You know, it's been so long since that operation. I don't recall any newspapers that might have said that they were UFOs. I know you could see the balloon. Listen what he says. He says, I know you could see the balloon very easily from the ground. It looked, here you go, people, smoking gun. It looked about like a silver dollar during the daytime because you couldn't see anything attached to it. You see this for yourself, people. He said you could see it from the ground and it looked like a silver dollar during the daytime because you couldn't see anything attached to it. So for all those naysayers out there that claim they've seen the Hubble, they've seen the ISS, they've seen other satellites and shit floating around in the sky, think about this. That reflection that you see with the sun reflecting off of the aluminum surface, or whatever type of aluminum, whatever type of shiny reflective material they're using for these satellites, carried by the jet stream, flying around a specific territory that is tasked to fly around in. Macaulay says, at that time, did you normally call the program Dragnet or Genetrix? Mitchell says, we called it Dragnet. Genetrix was a classified code name for the program, like Corona and Discoverer. Dr. Alvin H. Howell was the brains behind the balloon program. There you go. They lost one of these, okay? They lost one of the Corona satellites on a balloon, okay? This is a letter written to the Deputy Director for Science and Technology at the National Reconnaissance Office, okay? This was released, declassified and released by the National Reconnaissance Office November 26th of 1997 in accordance with Executive Order, I think that's 12958. Subject, Corona Mission 1005 incident. This memorandum is for information only. Corona Mission 1005 was launched on 27 April into orbit. Orbit. They're considering orbit to be space. We know it ain't fucking space. All right? But that's moved. Let's continue on. Recovery attempts commencing 2 May were unsuccessful. Attached here too is a chronology of operational reporting received on this mission. Number 3, on August 5th, OSA received word from its security representative at the Air Force Base, Los Angeles, that a satellite capsule had been reported as coming down near the Venezuelan-Colombia border. The actions taken by OSA upon receipt of this information are detailed in a separate attachment. As a result of the investigation by the OSA in conjunction with the Caracas station and the embassy attaché office there, the following facts are noted. Listen to this. August 1st, first word was received by Caracas Army attaché office of finding of a capsule at La Fria, 500 miles southwest of Caracas in a remote region of the Andes. August 3rd, reconfirmation of capsule finding made by telephone call to Caracas embassy. August 4th, representatives of the embassy viewed capsule at San Cristobal, to which it had been moved by political police. First press stories appeared. August 5th, capsule flown by host government to Caracas. August 6th to the 10th, capsule held by Minister of Defense of Venezuela. All right. August 8th, team from headquarters arrived at Caracas consisting of a security officer and a technical officer from the OSA office and a technical officer from the National Reconnaissance Office. August 10th, capsule turned over to embassy, examined, and reports made by the headquarters team. Copies of pertinent cables on technical and security aspects attached. August 12th, security officer scheduled to return capsule to West Coast. August 6th to the 12th. For the record, it should be noted that on Thursday, 6th August, a request was made by the CIA to the NRO to convene a meeting of the Interdepartmental Contingency Planning Committee to assess the problems, coordinate procedures, and assign responsibility for responding to any news media queries which might arise. Now, what's interesting about this, they noticed there was a label that there was a secret label on the satellite. It was marked secret. They removed that classification from it. This is regarding the history of satellite reconnaissance, volume 2A, SAMOS. Remember that name, SAMOS, okay? The SAMOS satellite, because here's what I'm going to take you to next. This is the list of all balloon launches from the Esrange Space Center in Sweden. Okay? Now, let me take you to the Swedish Space Center. And here is the Swedish Space Center website. This is the Swedish Space Center. And as you can see, they have balloons and rockets, payloads. This is their website. This is their website. Swedes. The Swedes. Okay? It's the Swedes. Here's their space center. They do balloon launches. Now let me take you the document I downloaded from their website. Now, this is a list of balloon launches from the Isran Space Center starting December 9th of 1982. Remember that term, SAMOS? You can read these documents for yourselves. We don't need to keep going through all this stuff together. I put a lot of this shit out for you people so that you can see this. You see they talk about weather satellite program, mapping satellite program, realignment controversy, new directions in satellite reconnaissance, okay? But let me take you to this document, which is very important, from the Swedes. This is not US oriented. I got this from a foreign country, okay? So you look at some of the launches. These are balloon launches, people. These ain't rockets. It says it, list of balloon launches. There's going to be some things here that you may see that are going to catch your eye, all right? Because I want you to look. You see the campaign, you look at the payload, all right? You got campaigns and payloads. And we're not going to go through all these codes, but you're going to see something that's going to catch your attention, all right? We're going to keep going through this, all right? Keep going through it. You're going to see something that's going to catch your attention, that's going to blow your mind. You see this, people? What does that say? Mir. That's the Mir space module. February 24th, 1997. Here goes another one. Mir. March 17th, 1997. Mir. Okay? I want you to see these things. All right? I want you to see these things. Let me take you to another one here, because there's let me hang on. Let me see. Here we go. Two more. Mir. February 18th, February 19th, 1999. Mir. It's the Mir space module, people, on a balloon. The ISS does not exist complete the way they show it on television. Here goes another one. Mir on a balloon. What they are showing you of the space station is a computer-generated image. They are not showing you the complete module put together, flying at 17,000 miles an hour. Here you go. Look at this. Support Mir. They sent up a support balloon to resupply the Mir on a balloon. On a balloon, people. Look at this. Orion. Orion payload. Look at here. Inmarsat. You want to know where your satellite phone communications come from? A balloon, people. A balloon. I'll supply this document to whoever wants it. Here we go. Inmarsat test. Balloon. If you were to take time to search every single one of these flights to match it up with a particular rocket launch that they claim this thing was on, I guarantee you, you will be able to compare it with this Swedish Isran Space Center balloon flight list. Balloon flight list. Balloons, people. That's your program. It's always been your program. Look at this. Mir short duration. Mir VLD. You got two VLD. Look at here. More Mir. This is in 2002, people. 2002. For those in Europe, you ever heard of Enviasat? Look at Enviasat. Enviasat. These things are supposed to be testing the atmosphere for particulates and, you know, for pollution control. Balloons, people. You can't come to any other conclusion. You don't have any other information to prove you were at the launch pad and you saw them put this thing inside the nose cone of a rocket. You didn't see it. You can work for NASA, you can work for the Germans, you can work for the Russians. You did not see what you thought you saw going into a nose cone of a capsule and with an unedited video stream and put on a launch pad and launched into the sky on a rocket. You didn't see that. Look at NASA. Why is NASA using the Swedish to launch a balloon for them? Think about that. They're everywhere, people. They're carrying out the deception, the fraud, the hoax, the scam, the bullshit. It's all here. It's all here, people. I keep saying it's not what you know, it's what you can prove. You can talk about it all day long. You can claim this is your theory, this is your hypothesis. You ain't got no documentation to fucking back it up. You just want to show some bullshit video and you're not a videographer and you don't know how to do video analysis. You got to get the documentation. And here's the documentation right here. NASA, 2011, LED, ESO, high wind. Just check these out. Because I have. NASA, 2003, 2013, Sunrise 2. Look at that. Balloon. Balloon, people. That's a complete list. It goes all the way to 2014. 2014, people. 2014. There you have it. There you have it, people. I don't know what else to tell you. I really don't know what else to tell you. Check this out. Just check this shit out. Check this shit out. Another satellite being launched from Antarctica. Check this out. You're going to love this one. That's Antarctica, people. Remember how we saw that circular launch pad? The bulldozer is smoothing out the ice and snow. Look at this. Just wait and see. Watch this. This is McMurdo Station in the background. McMurdo is right back here. They have line of sight to this airstrip. Just look at this. This is your billion, trillion dollar fucking satellite program. A goddamn fucking balloon. A balloon, people. There goes fucking $20-30 million on a balloon. It's not inside a fucking rocket nose cone. There you go. Woohoo! Woohoo! Yay! Now you want to know what NASA is spending all that fucking money for? On helium? NASA has spent a shitload of money on helium. So you got to ask yourself, what the fuck is all that helium for, right? You think, okay, maybe it's for the vacuum chamber. They're doing all kinds of testing. No, bullshit. That fucking helium is for their fucking balloon program. What else would you use fucking helium for? What would you use helium for? You use fucking helium to fucking float.
It's at 18,000 feet right now.
Come on, people. This common sense. This common fucking logic.
Hey, the payload is now at 105,000 feet.
Look at that. 105,000 feet.
Quite well. even with the naked eye. It's nice and well inflated now.
So based on the size of that balloon,
Now we're at about 120,000 feet.
look at that. So these things got to get to at least 150, maybe 100, maybe they can get to about 180,000 feet. But at nighttime, see this fucking thing. You're not going to see it. You're not going to see the satellite, period. So we're going to go to aircraft. So let's go to the U2 Dragon Lady. Let's go to the U2 product card. Okay, so here's your U2. I can tell you here right now, this is a new upgraded edition. They've upgraded the satellite system. So instead of, they're still using balloons, okay? They're still using balloons. But as far as military, advanced communications, topography, mapping, this platform, 33 of these are stationed around the world. 33 of them. Half of them are flown unmanned. Half of these can be flown without pilots inside of them. They can fly 24 hours. They can be refueled in the air at high altitude. They've got everything on board that you would need to do the same communications on the ground. 15 of these can be flown without pilots, unmanned. When I spoke to my professor, who used to be a Defense Intelligence Agency officer, he was in charge of the U2 ISR program, Intelligence Surveillance Reconnaissance program. I asked him how many of these would be needed to cover the entire Earth in a 24-hour period. He told me you only need 10.
In this video, there's a minimum of 75 Bible verses with prophecies and Bible codes that prove a flat geostationary Earth. I've grouped most of these verses into groups of 3, so I'm going to be counting down from 25 to 1. It'll make sense to you in a minute. And I've saved the best 2 for last. So let's start with some easy ones. Number 25, corners. Isaiah 11 verse 12, 4 corners of the earth. Revelation 7 verse 1, 4 corners of the earth. Revelation 20 verse 8, the 4 corners of the earth. You can't have corners on a sphere. That's because the earth is not a sphere. It's flat. Number 24, still earth. 1 Chronicles 16 verse 30, the world also shall be stable, that it be not moved. Psalm 96 verse 10, the world also shall be established, that it shall not be moved. Psalm 93 verse 1, the world also is established, that it cannot be moved. It's all consistent, clear as day. If the world isn't moving, then it's not spinning, and neither is it orbiting around the sun. Number 23, pillars. 1 Samuel 2, verse 8, for the pillars of the earth are the Lord's, and he has set the world upon them. Job 9, verse 6, and the pillars thereof tremble. Psalm 75, verse 3, I bear up the pillars of it. There's nothing about a ball-shaped earth that you can fit pillars into. That's because the earth is not round, the pillars hold up a flat earth, there's a dome on top, the earth is flat. Number 22, the firmament dome. Isaiah 24, verse 18, for the windows of heaven are opened. It's a dome over a flat earth. Isaiah 13, verse 13, therefore I will make the heavens tremble. If the heavens can tremble, then it has to have solidity to it. Genesis 1, verse 6, and God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. It's a dome over a flat earth that separates the waters above the dome. I read this so many times and I didn't see what was going on. I read the word firmament, didn't understand it, but it makes so much sense now when you take it literally. Strong's Concordance defines the word firmament as a solid expanse, roughly like the domed roof on this building here. Here's the inside of that dome, and the stars that we see in the sky would be fixed into this solid firmament, and the whole thing rotates around a flat, stationary earth. That's why all the stars move around the sky together as one set piece, because You can only have a solid dome separating the waters above from the waters and seas below on a flat Earth with the atmosphere in the middle. It doesn't work on a ball-shaped Earth. Number 21, the firmament dome continued. Isaiah 44, verse 24, I am the Lord who made all things, who alone stretched out the heavens, who spread out the earth by myself. Well, you can't spread something out by rolling it into a ball. Psalms 18, verse 9, he bowed the heavens also. 2 Samuel 22, verse 10, repeats Psalms. It says, he bowed the heavens also. Strong's number H5186 describes the word bowed as bend. The heavens bend around us. It's a domed heaven around a flat earth. Number 20, the sun. There are 67 Bible verses that reference the sun moving. You can easily look this up. Here's a title on one website that lists them all. But zero, zilch, nothing, no Bible verses at all that ever make reference to the earth moving. So, at the very least, the Bible supports a geostationary earth. Number 19, Bible codes. If you're familiar with Bible codes, then you'll know there's a matrix of flat earth clusters from Luke 13, verse 28 to Luke 14. Here's the matrix. Here's flat, earth, and at equidistant letter spacing you'll also find dome, canopy, tent, truth, edge, disc, even, and a lot more. If you don't have Bible Code software, then you can do this for free at BibleCodeWisdom.com. Number 18, height and depth. Job 11, verse 8, it is as high as heaven, what can you do? Deeper than hell, what can you know? So, there's a height to heaven and a depth to hell. You can't have a height to heaven on a heliocentric, ever-expanding universe model. You can only have a height to heaven on a flat earth that has a dome over the top of it. Number 17, length and width. Job 11, verse 9, the measure thereof is longer than the earth and broader than the sea. It doesn't say longer than the sphere and broader than the curved ocean. You can't have a length and breadth on a ball unless you change the wording of the Bible to accommodate it. You can only have a length and breadth on a flat level plane. Number 16, wisdom. Colossians 2 verse 8 says, beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit, after the tradition of men, after the rudiments of the world. 1 Timothy 6 verse 20, false science. 1 Corinthians 3 verse 19, for the wisdom of this world is foolishness with God. A ball-shaped world is wisdom to those that live in the world and get their information from TV or the education system. Wisdom of a global earth is literally foolishness with God. True wisdom is not taught in the education system, and neither will you find it on the 6 o'clock news. True wisdom is only found by carefully weighing up the options, and that's what we've been doing on this channel for the last few months, weighing up the evidence. Really try to understand what the Bible is saying here in these 3 verses, because it's telling us that the earth is flat, it's not round. Number 15, day and night. Job 26 verse 10, he has compassed the waters with bounds until the day and night come to an end. Well, that's interesting. Here's a flat earth map. The outer bounds are made of ice. The waters are literally compassed with an ice boundary. The sun goes around the earth like this. Both day and night can only come to an end where day and night meet the dome. Beyond the dome, time ceases to exist. Whoever happens to live in that realm outside the dimension of time, beyond the dome, which is the heaven, is also immortal. He's always been there. He can see the beginning and the end. Prophecies in the Bible, inspired by the Holy Spirit, show us the future is already foretold. And when the Bible talks of the everlasting, that's the place we all go to at some point. Problem is, most of us who reject the truth will face everlasting shame. Like it or not, we're all going to meet our Maker someday. So day and night can't possibly come to an end on a ball earth model. That's because the earth isn't a ball, the earth is flat. Number 14, foundations. Job 38, verse 4. Where were you when I laid the foundations of the earth? Declare if you have understanding. As we've just seen, the foundations of the earth are pillars. Isaiah 48, verse 13. My hand also has laid the foundation of the earth, and my right hand has spanned the heavens. When I call unto them, they stand up together. If the heavens stand up at his command, then it's telling us here that the heavens are a dome, it's a solid dome, the earth is flat. Number 13, footstool. Isaiah 66, verse 1, the heaven is my throne, and the earth is my footstool. Matthew 5, verse 35, he's swearing, nor by earth, for it is his footstool. Acts 7, verse 49, heaven is my throne, and the earth is my footstool. This is what a footstool looks like. It's got 4 pillars. Here's another one. How exactly are you mistaking this for this? What footstool spins at 1,000 miles an hour? Number 12, desktop globe. Exodus 20, verse 4, thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath. Isaiah 42, verse 8, neither my praise to graven images. It's also the second of the 10 commandments, so that rules out having a spinning globe on your desktop, because what's a spinning globe? It's a graven image that depicts the earth. Why was the commandment not to have those things? Because it indoctrinates without even speaking. The earth isn't a globe, it's flat. Number 11, the stars. Matthew 24, verse 29, the stars shall fall from heaven. Mark 13, verse 25, and the stars of heaven shall fall. Revelation 6, verse 13, and the stars of heaven fell unto the earth. We've all been brainwashed into thinking the stars are massive and trillions of miles away. The Bible is telling us the stars are not massive, they're small, close, and they're going to fall to the earth. So the universe that we see up there is dome-shaped and small enough to contain all the stars that circle around the flat stationary earth. Number 10, the universe. This is the ancient Hebrew view of the universe. We've got the earth on pillars, Sheol down there, and a dome over the flat geostationary earth, and all the stars and the sun and the moon inside the dome going around the earth. That's why in Genesis 1 verse 14 it says, let there be lights in the firmament of heaven, not orbiting a Milky Way galaxy, no, inside the dome, the firmament. Number 9, sun circuit. Psalm 96 verse 10, the world also shall be established, that it shall not be moved. King James Version. Equally, that verse could support a ball-shaped earth, but it eliminates the possibility of the earth going around the sun. Bear that in mind for a moment. Psalm 19, verse 6, talking about the sun. His going forth is from the end of heaven, and his circuit until the ends of it, and there is nothing hid from the heat thereof. If the sun has a circuit, then the sun is not the centre of the solar system, as we've been told. Critics will say, yes, but the sun is on a circuit. It circles the centre of our Milky Way galaxy. Well, if the Earth is established that it cannot be moved, but the sun goes around the Milky Way, then the sun would fly off away from the Earth and we'd never see the sun again. So when the Bible talks of the sun having a circuit, it's talking about the sun circuiting around a flat Earth. Number 8. Circle of the earth. So those who loosely read the Bible point to Isaiah 40 verse 22, which says, it is he that sitteth upon the circle of the earth. And they use that verse to support a round earth. But there is a difference between a sphere and a circle. Isaiah knew the difference between a ball and a circle because he describes a ball in Isaiah 22 verse 18. So why did Isaiah not use the same word for ball when describing the earth in chapter 40? That's because the earth is not a ball, it's a flat disc shape with a dome on top and pillars underneath. Number 7, grasshoppers. Psalm 33 verse 14, from the place of his habitation he looks upon the inhabitants of the earth. You can't do that on a 13.8 billion light year across universe. It's a dome. Isaiah 40 verse 22, it is he that sits above the circle of the earth, and its inhabitants are like grasshoppers. If you're outside the expanding heliocentric universe, then we wouldn't resemble grasshoppers. The entire galaxy would resemble a speck. It's a dome over a flat earth. Number 6, deception. Matthew 24 verse 24, if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. 2 Thessalonians 2 verse 3, let no man deceive you by any means. Ephesians 5 verse 6, let no man deceive you with vain words. So, if you are deceived about the ball-shaped earth, thinking a sphere is the truth, then you've got no chance of ever being able to understand the Bible, yourself barred from all knowledge. If you take the view that the flat earth is a distraction, then what exactly is it distracting you from? What, celebrity gossip? Or if you believe it doesn't matter if the earth is round or flat, then you're a self-confessed idiot, because it absolutely does matter if the earth is flat or round. You'll never be able to understand the Bible at all if you think the flat, round earth is a distraction or doesn't matter. Number 5, tent. If we go back to Isaiah 40 verse 22 and expand on it, if you remember, it says, it is he that sitteth upon the circle of the earth, and the inhabitants thereof are as grasshoppers, that stretcheth out the heavens as a curtain, and spreads them out as a tent to dwell in. Here's a picture of my tent. I went camping in it a month ago. How exactly are you confusing a tent, a dome-like structure, for an expanding universe 13.8 billion light years across? They don't match up. Again, this verse gives credence to the fact that it's a flat earth with a dome-like structure above. Number 4, ends of the earth. Job 37 verse 3, and his lightning unto the ends of the earth. Daniel 4 verse 11, and the sight thereof to the end of all the earth. Proverbs 30 verse 4, who hath established all the ends of the earth? What is his name? And what is his son's name, if you can tell? Wow. Wow. Proverbs is Old Testament, and what a prophecy that is. Not only is it predicting Jesus, the Son of God, but also the ends of a flat, level earth. There's no end on a ball-shaped earth. It goes around continuously. You can only come to an end on a flat, level plane. Number 3, lies. Jeremiah 16 verse 19, the Gentiles shall come unto thee from the ends of the earth, and shall say, surely our fathers have inherited lies, vanity, and things wherein there is no profit. This is a future prophecy following a monstrous destruction of people who believed lies. But it could just as easily apply now, today. Here we are today showing evidence of the ends of the earth, telling people the earth is flat, and the generation who lived from the 1930s until now got lied to. The generation above us inherited lies, and those who stand for nothing will believe anything. There's no end to the earth on a ball. That's because it's not a ball, it's flat. Number 2, the 4 winds. The Bible is consistent all the way through, from Old to New Testament, that there's 4 winds. For example, Jeremiah 49 verse 36, 4 winds. Daniel 7 verse 2, 4 winds. Matthew 24 verse 31, 4 winds. Revelation 7 verse 1, 4 winds. If you've got understanding, you'll know there's a jet stream that connects North America with Europe. Commercial aircraft try to fly in the jet stream to conserve fuel. Do some diligent research and you'll find there's 4 jet streams, 2 in the north and 2 in the southern hemisphere. So how did the guys who penned the Bible know about these 4 jet streams when they were only discovered in the 1920s, when planes could finally fly high enough to discover them? So we have a dome-shaped earth that requires cross-ventilation. Okay, so here's an example of cross-ventilation. Here's my boiler in there, and got to have two ventilations, one at the top and one at the bottom. It's not sufficient to just have one because that wouldn't circulate the air through. You've got to have two for sufficient ventilation. If you want to properly ventilate your roof to prevent dry rot or wet rot, you'll need a minimum of two vents, one here and one here. But if you want to ventilate the entire earth, then you'll need inlets of air and outlets. That's why in Revelation 7 verse 1 it says, I saw four angels standing at the four corners of the earth, holding back the four winds of the earth, so that no wind would blow on the earth or on the sea or on any tree. And the picture you see on screen is a graphical representation of the four angels on the four corners of the earth. Each of them would feed in a jet stream of air into the dome, a bit like a leaf blower, to cross-ventilate the entire earth. Jet streams wouldn't work on a ball-shaped earth because they'd fizzle out to nothing very quickly. The only way I can visualize a jet stream working is to feed that jet stream somehow into the system by an inlet. It's impossible to replicate a constant fast-flowing column of air on a ball earth without something feeding that air into the system. Scientists will try and make out the case that hot and cold air colliding will cause a jet stream, but I think that's unlikely. So that brings us to the number one reason, and that is mathematics. In Psalm 147 verse 5, it's referring to the Almighty. It says, His understanding is infinite. And if we get to Genesis 1 verse 1, in the beginning God created the heaven, singular, and the earth. What you're about to see is approximately 20 seconds of complicated stuff. Just follow along as best you can here for 20 seconds, because this will knock your socks off. In Hebrew, the first sentence of the Bible looks like this. If you take the number of Hebrew letters and times that by the product of the letters, and then divide that by the number of words times the product of the words, you get 3.1416. That's the value of pi to 4 decimal places. Pi is the relationship of a circle's circumference to its diameter, so you measure the circumference of any circle all the way round and divide that by the diameter straight across, and you get 3.14, the value of pi, an infinite string of numbers. Okay, that's the complicated stuff over. What the Bible is describing here is clearly a circle and not a sphere. And only a flat geostationary circular earth fits that description. And if that failed to knock your socks off, then you've not been paying attention. Because what we've got here is the Bible describing the creation of the earth in words, and behind those words we've got a mathematical formula that not only verifies the authenticity of the text, a fingerprint of God if you will, but it describes the very shape of the earth, circular. In the future I might post a video just on this subject alone, or I might write a book on the subject, or I might correspond with and collaborate with people who care. There's a lot more to this than meets the eye. And finally, Luke 18 verse 17, For nothing is hid that shall not be made manifest, nor anything secret that shall not be known and come to light. Thank you for making it to the end of this video. If you'd like to see more information and research into the flat earth, then you can click the left. If you've had enough and you can't take it anymore, then there's a funny video on the right. A full transcript of this video is, well, might be in the comments if it will fit. You can also find more information in the description box below by clicking more. God bless you all, and remember, the answer to 1984 is 33 AD. Approximately.